Hi, welcome to our first episode of our series of A Dose of Sinsanity. This is something that we kind of got together, really wanted to do. I'm joined by Welshy, Jamokin. We're going to be here week by week, kind of talking about different things that we feel might be interesting to the 82L community, to the Pot of Sins community, PSGS, and anyone who really wants to listen to us speak for about an hour. Um, kind of got together, said, hey, like this will be some fun. We've had a long talks, known each other for a long time. But let's kind of get into some introductions, kind of meet us a little bit. We've all known each other for quite some time now. Let's just talk. I mean, first, Welshy, how about you talk about how we met?
I mean, we met like what, 3, 4 years ago now? And we met because of the weirdest connection because of our mutual friend that you met one time in a PUBG game said, hey, we both play Dota. And then you started playing Dota and we started playing together. And ever since then, it went from basically we'd play pubs together to we then decided to play in like in-house stuff together to we actually decided to start a team together in 82L.
And we kind of just got stuck together, huh?
Yeah, basically, man. I mean, it happened. I mean, I used to play 5 and you used to play a bunch of roles. And then eventually we just kind of sunk into where we were just lane partners and we synced up really well. And we've had a lot of really successful lanes and a lot of really successful seasons running Pot of Greed that then turned into Pot of Wrath, that then turned into Pot of Pride, that then turned into Pot of Sins. And it went from one team to we're at a current count of 9, I think.
Something along those lines now for sure.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of teams that run under our banner and been running the organization since, doing events. I mean, just to talk about like the biggest thing I think we've done as an organization together is we participated in the Sins and Grins charity and raised $6,000 some dollars for
$6,229.69 because we had that awesome donation of 69 cents for the memes.
Hell yeah. And we raised that for lymphoma to benefit one of our members. And that was a massive success. More than I think anybody could think would happen in a small Dota community. I was incredibly proud of the community. And I think we're making differences in the places that we can.
Yeah, the journey's been long and it's funny. Like the reason that you got stuck in position 3 was literally out of spite. You're pissed off at me because I chose somebody else over you to play in a league. And you're like, you know what? Screw this guy. I'm going to be position 3 now.
Oh my God. I feel like
7 seasons later.
I feel like we have to tell that story just real quick. So Greco made a team without me and I was legend like 2. And I thought I was
sucked.
I know I sucked ass. And I thought I was the best offlaner in the world. I was so insulted that he would not put me on his team that I made a team out of spite and was the offlaner. And I would just run offlane all day. Like I went literally in that league from like Legend 2. In reality, I should have been Archon like 3 and up to like Legend 5, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it just like gave me the baseline of like, okay, I now know what the fuck I'm doing. And I'm going to now become a monster offlaner if it's the last thing I do.
You beat us in that league too.
That was the plan. Yes, the plan was successful.
But let's kind of move on. Get JMO a little bit involved here. We were talking the other day, and I can't fully remember the connection between you, Welshy, and JMO, and how exactly you guys came together. You mind sharing that, JMO?
Yeah. So season 28. I think it was both of our first seasons in 82L, if I'm not mistaken. We were same league, gonna play against each other, and you couldn't make our series for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think it was my mother's wedding, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you had something going on, and then Welshy messages me. He's like, "Hey, we're playing. Here's our stand-in. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I guess he's pretty good." And, being new, I had no idea. It's the first time I ran into a situation on the stand-in, and I didn't have a great grasp of the rule book yet. And
didn't that change?
Yeah, it was before I went and meditated in the temple for sure.
Before Jamokin's dark evolution.
My origin story. So that's really when we started to build a rapport with Welshy, and then we started scrimming a lot after that. And then you were obviously at those scrims, and so a lot of times they were organized through me and you. And it's kind of how I met Welshy and I met you.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you were telling me the first time that Welshy messaged you, he was like, "Hey man, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just I'm just
Yeah.
captain for the day, I guess. Cool, see you there."
Yeah, it was like take your kids to work, and he was really excited to be there for sure.
Oh man! And now he's taking charge
And
of
now
the
now he's
entire
actually
team.
there.
Can you believe
Current
that?
captain
He
of
grew
a
up.
team that's participating in the highest skill bracket, and I have no idea. I still have no idea what the fuck I'm doing.
Oh goodness gracious!
All I'm gonna say,
Um,
I'll talk about my leadership like accolades in a minute here of me getting us to intermediate finals, but I'll just say that.
that was your first deal as captain. You got us to intermediate finals.
Yeah.
But
See,
speaking of accolades, like it's been a journey.
give me 1
As
second
a-
though. Like Jamokin, I really remember our first story differently. I remember it being that you went, "Hey, I heard you make logos," and reaching out for a PSGS logo. That's what I remember.
No, that was later. That was much
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
'cause that was when Potisins was
Dude, my sensory of time is
confirmed and all
terrible.
that.
No.
Yeah, just sit back and shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyways, what I was saying. So let's talk kind of about the accolades. So it's been quite the journey. Like both of our organizations, and I say organizations because Jamokin, you got PSGS that I believe is going under a different name. What is that? What is their name?
Biscuit Boys, Baguette Boy,
Yeah, whatever,
some
whatever they
kind
want
of
to go
some
by.
kind of
But
boys or something.
yeah, the boys. So you got the boys, and you got PSGS. But both of us kind of started, like you were saying, in season 28. And since then, we've had quite the success. Just to list them off, I mean, season 28, we had Pot of Greed take second in contender. Season 29, Greed took first. Season 30, PSGS sprouts up and takes second. Season 31, Envy takes first in contenders. Season 32, Vainglory takes second intermediate. 32, Pride took second in contender. And then you guys won contender that season. In 32, we also had Gluttony, our Crusader team, take third.
So
in
proud of them.
33, you guys had PSGS. You guys had this crazy run in the lower brackets in Intermediate League. Envy took third in Archon that season, and then this season we just kind of exploded. We had Lust take first in Intermediate, Greed takes second. Vainglory is currently in the grand finals. Wrath is also in the grand finals, and then the boys took third. So a lot of success has really sprung up since just Jamokin and Welshy talking about, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to be captain for the day kind of thing. And it's kind of been, like I say, it's a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, from the moment you guys actually stepped into this league, you just found success, right? Like first season, second season, you won it, right?
And then it slipped through our fingers for a couple seasons, at least my team in general. But yeah, and we kind of like it spread, as you can hear throughout. Like, you can hear a bunch of different Pot of Greed teams being named. As Welshy was saying before it started, we got Wrath to join. We got I think it was Sloth and Envy, and then Pride came in, and just kind of steamrolled from there. And I still blame the whole thing on Welshy. The whole reason why Pot of Greed, or rather Pot of Sins, is a thing, is because of Welshy's mouth.
It sounded like a cool concept, man. I to this day, I think this is one of the coolest fucking things I've ever done in my life. Is make this fucking organization, and I don't know, man. Like every one of these teams is something that I am very proud of, and each one of them takes pride in what they represent, and I could not be prouder of them.
The cool thing too is like the whole reason that this started was you're like, hey, I've got a awesome concept of a Pot of Wrath logo, and you pitched it to them. I can't remember if you designed it because all of our, by the way, for anyone listening, all of Potison's artwork is done by Welshy and his brother. It's all spectacular. Even the PSGS, at least the original logo, was done by Welshy as well.
Even the updated, not so current logo.
Yeah. So
let me say as well, just on looking back on my designs, it still upsets me that everyone that I ask's favorite design is the least effort design I've ever done, which is Pot of Sloth. Everyone loves Pot of Sloth with a passion. Cool. Dude, Gluttony took forever. Vanglory was a work of passion. Like Acedia was my death metal self coming out, but Sloth was like thrown together in like a couple of hours and just slapped together. And I was like, and everyone's like, dude, this is your best one. I'm like, what the man?
I don't know. BSGS is pretty sick.
BSGS is pretty sick.
PSGS is your masterpiece.
Yeah, PSGS. The original PSGS where it had the white. You remember the big chunks of white in there?
Yeah, the big chunks of white. there was chunks of white that just appeared for no reason, and I don't know why.
Anywhere there was gaps, there was just chunks of white.
Let me also tell you this right now. No one is a harsher art critic than Jamokin. I've never met a harsher art critic in my life.
Oh.
Not to bring those kind of things up, but I'm staring at the PSGS current logo right now, and there's chunks of white around the lettering.
There's not. Shut up. There's not.
You try to get something fixed from Welshy? Like, hey, by the way, he made great logos. Don't ask him anymore. It'll take you years, and there'll be chunks of white.
Oh, man.
I'll throw shade.
The term always waiting on Ben.
Hate that term.
Oh, goodness.
I'm the first to load into shit, and everyone's still saying always waiting on Ben.
I mean, what were we waiting tonight for?
Yeah. What was it, 20 minutes?
Nyuk, nyuk, nyuk.
You did get tased, though. You did get tased. So
I did tonight.
That is great. So everyone who's been absolutely blowing up our Discord general chat, it's coming. He has the video. Don't worry, it is going to come out. He did get tased tonight.
I'll be posting it today.
So,
oh shit.
Let me say right now, tasing, just a real quick side story. So tasing does not hurt as much as I think that it would, but it still hurts like a bitch. It's almost like someone's holding like a torch to you. Like it's almost like a burning feeling. It's very fascinating.
Would you like to do it again?
I'd be okay with it. Like if it's a constant.
All right, it's happening. It's doing it. He's doing it again for the fans.
I'll do it. I mean, I will say this right now. If it's for another charity event, I will absolutely do it. I mean, I'm still not, like, I will say this, and I do thank God my fiance convinced me not to do this. When I first proposed it, I said, I'll take it to the neck. If that was on my neck, dude, I think I would probably have heart palpitations. I'd like, dude, it actually, like, that would be scary.
I have proof in my Facebook Messenger that your fiance, I think you said girlfriend again, but your fiance.
I did not. I mean, okay, I'm careful too. Don't fuck that up at
wait,
home,
wait.
kids.
No, you'll hear her screaming again in the background. But I have proof in my Facebook messengers that she said it was okay. She said that she agreed that you could do it to your neck.
Right.
I'm just saying, you saw the proof. You saw the proof.
And then I got my girl. See, there's the mistake, kids. Be very careful. That's a very bad mistake to make. My fiance is literally behind me, like every time that he says that, going, "Don't do it to your neck. Don't do it to your neck. Don't do it to your neck."
Oh man, I wanted you dropped on the ground and pee in your pants.
I still fell. I'll say that.
Did you? All right. Yeah. Well, I'm cool with it.
My leg went completely stiff.
As long as you drop to the ground, I'm happy.
No pee pants, because I surprisingly enough, like my friend only held it to my leg for about a second, so it was a thing of like before I was on the ground, because my leg literally gave out. Like it makes the entire, like he put it to the back of my leg, and the entire muscle just went whoop, and like just completely gave out underneath me.
You got to find better friends that promote you to do worse decisions.
Oh yeah, better friends who tase me for longer than 1 second. Yeah,
absolutely. You're down on the ground and you're being tased for 5 seconds minimum if I'm the one to do it.
That's why you're a real friend, I'm sure.
And I'm pretty sure B-Jack would probably hold that thing to you longer.
Dude, this is why B-Jack wasn't allowed to do it. The moment I asked him, he showed zero concern. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Not a problem.
Let me come over. I will drive over right now and tase you in the neck. Let me come over and do this. I will pay you to tase you."
Oh gosh. Well, let's get back on track a little bit. So we got to brag about our respective accolades from our organizations. We'll get more into our orgs and things like that, and another episode. But let's kind of stick on us because you know what? I want to be selfish and I want to talk about me. So one of the things I want to know is where do you guys see yourself in the future, or like what are your long term goals for Dota? I think it's a really good one to direct to Jamokin because we've talked about this pretty in depth just a couple days ago, and what your game plan is, and where you want to go, and where you see yourself in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is quite relevant because anybody who watched our final series in the loser interview, um I did say that I was dissolving PSGS, and that was our final season. And a lot of it had to do with me individually as a player wanting to get better at Dota. And when I first came into this league, there was a lot I didn't know. And playing on a team, you get a lot of very interesting viewpoints. You learn a lot about other positions, um, a lot of how to play together as a team. And so it was a really useful tool for learning. And I feel like at a certain point, I got as much as I could from those kind of perspectives. And uh, I was spending a lot of time not working on myself, but instead working on the team. And so I made the decision that, you know what, I'm just going to like stop playing on the team, really grind ranked. I'm trying to get like 6.5k, and then uh, for those of you in the Dota 2 scrims Discord, you'll see there's like constantly 7, 8, 9k players looking for teams for players and stuff. And then rethink of making a team once I get further up in the ranks.
Then making an actual go of it, right? Like going for like the DPC and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Like definitely, you know, uh, keep pushing and see how far we can get, right? Like,
No.
tier 3, tier 2s, who knows, right?
Now
You
you're
know,
pretty regular in going to the open qualifiers and competing every single season. And every single time that I talk to you about it, is you're like, yeah, we may have won one, which I think the last one you won your first game, and
yeah,
then
while she was
oh yeah,
playing.
well, she was the three in that too.
No, Catherine
Uh,
was playing. Catherine was playing as their three.
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Catherine was
yeah.
playing, but you guys won your first game, and then the second one, you guys played, I think, somebody who ended up qualifying for the closed qualifiers, and you're like, there's so much of this that we actually learned of way they play the map movements. And
Let me be a little specific here. We played members of the cut.
And 5-man Midas.
We played actual professional Dota players in our second game.
Yeah, we went up against, I think the first day they finished third, I want to say. And then I don't recall if they qualified on the next day, or however it worked. But yeah, like they were absolutely legit.
so you
And
guys played the cut, which is funny because Naya Valera also played them, I think, the season before when they actually qualified for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they lost to. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
That's
um,
we've had that. I've had the conversation with Naya many times, and let me just say really quickly that it is you see the cliff after that. Like you see the difference, the never missing last hits, the denying every creep, the every single creep is a competition for who's the better last hitter, and the coordination. Like it's just uncanny.
yeah, no matter what they're doing, what every hero on the map is doing, like it's constantly creating pressure in some form. Um, so your map just starts closing in incredibly quick. And like, yes, losing all your lanes because you're drastically outskilled is, you know, definitely contributes to losing the map quickly. But It's really impressive. It was really eye opening. A lot of fun too, because you can sit back and you can look at. It's interesting because you're actually controlling the actions. So like you see it's happening, and you're like, okay, well, what if I try this? What if I do this? What if I do that? And that's something you don't really get when you watch Dota. You can't be like, well, what if they tried this? But when you're playing against them, you can actively see what would happen if you did this or that. And so that's a really fun perspective you can get from playing really high teams.
Mm-hmm.
So you're pretty known for. I think it's pretty common the league knows that you guys had a team coach for an extended period of time, and you've been getting coached pretty
Since
regularly.
season 31. Yeah.
Yeah, since season 31. Um, is it kind of eye-opening in the sense of these are things that your coach has been preaching to you, and you actually get to see it in action in a higher MMR type environment? Or did it just not carry over at all? Like, I don't want to say from your play, but actually seeing it against you.
Um, yeah, so we had Skull Candy as our coach, as you guys know, but the maybe some people don't. He was our team coach. We picked him up right near the end of season 31 and ran with him for team coaching for season 32. Did some just one-on-one coaching from there on, with large contributing to why I went from like kind of hard stuck legend to almost divine 4, hoping maybe tonight. Um, but yeah, for sure, especially with the team stuff, you could really see um how they were always executing on what he would talk about, and how, you guys should be playing the maps from drafting to like just a big long list of stuff. So it was pretty cool for sure.
So, with your coaching in that conversation I was referring to earlier, uh, you were talking to me kind of like you have a game plan of how you want to get to the higher ranks. You want to be into that immortal ranking where you can create that higher tier. And a lot of it was solo key philosophy. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So as people will know from the content I made from Gambit and other stuff, just talking to me, um, I'm a big believer in like uh, only playing like your one position, especially if you're like sub immortal, where you can still do like ranked roll queues and you have a you get matches relatively quickly. You like grind one rank or one roll and like a few heroes, like 3 heroes, like pick the meta shit, like play the meta shit. Especially after you learn like the fundamentals. Like when I started coaching, I learned a bunch of like different carry hero archetypes, like heroes that were good farming, as you know, we've talked about with you trying to learn carry.
Right.
Um, these more early game brawlers like the Ursus, the Jugs, ranged heroes, Medusa, Sniper, Drow Ranger. The way they play is just drastically different. So like, we really worked on getting a really good foundation as a carry player and kind of being diverse. And then from there, it was like just grind the meta and like stick to the program. It gets boring. It's not fun. It's a grind. But if you just keep hitting it, it's going to be the quickest and fastest way to get there. And since you're not constantly changing your hero, you absorb a lot of the knowledge from learning how to actually play Dota instead of thinking of your hero.
See, now that's the thing about high MMR that I think some people just don't realize, that the to me, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but the higher, but I found this in what I'm playing, and I'm at Divine 1 right now, soon to be Divine 2. The higher up in MMR you go, the more of a slave you are to the meta, speaking generally. And that's something that I think a lot of people forget, is that at some point it stops being this game where you can pick what you want and try to dominate with it, like, off lane Viper, or I don't know, like mid Chen. Like you can get away with that in Archon, maybe even Legend, but you hit Divine and it's like you just hit this cap where that's just not going to work anymore, man. There are people that are just going to play what's meta and they're going to beat you.
We
You
kind
know?
of talked like there's such a hyper focus, right? Like you have to stay focused for such a long period of time. Jamokin, you brought up that Dota Scrims Discord that we were just there. You kind of briefly touched on earlier of all the high MMR stuff, and I was just sifting through it, kind of seeing what I see, and I actually saw a almost like a poll, maybe like I guess survey would be the best thing, or like a challenge maybe is, but they wanted to put you through this test and to see how long you can stay focused. And they're experimenting, and the idea was different types of esports versus others, and the amount of focus required, and how good the top players in the world really are at staying focused for a long period of time. And I think that's with you guys being divine and climbing, it's something that you see more is the lower MMR I believe that you go, and this is just an opinion, but the less focused people tend to be throughout the game. Now it's hard when you're in a 55-minute game, hour 5-minute game, things like that. That's a long time to stay focused. And a lot of the times that's the difference in these long MMR games of I lost my focus, I'm the carry player, I die in an awful spot. Now I don't have buyback, and it's you put your team in a losing situation. So, like you're saying, is you play these heroes and you stay in the meta and you learn these insides and out, and you can almost, I don't want to say turn your brain off, but you kind of do in the sense of this is like I know this hero inside and out. I know it's all second nature, it's all reaction. Um, and I can stay focused on the other things instead of focusing on what I'm doing, what other people are doing, map movements, like what abilities come off cooldown. It's all second nature. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think staying focused is definitely one of the biggest things, and by playing the same hero continually, it allows you to stay focused on the more important things. You're not worried about like tread switching and like doing all the super tiny things that like min max you because you're just naturally doing it while focusing on everything else.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I kind of hate about modern Dota content. And a lot of things is that a lot of guides and stuff say like this hero breaking the meta, climb the tree, or this one trick of how to pull is gonna change your MMR and you're gonna go from Archon to Divine. Like it's never that simple. There's nothing in Dota that's gonna improve you that much. It is a bunch. It is the simplest way to put it is exactly that. It's increase your focus. Like, and what I mean by that is have so little dead brain time when it comes to stuff. Don't just last hit. Pull creep aggro. Like, make sure you're managing your lane positioning. Understand like, is your support pulling? Talk to your support. Talk to the other lanes. What's going on? What's your plan? Like, active time thinking and active brain time in a game of 50 minutes of hard attention to what you're doing is the difference maker in games. Of
And it's no
constantly questioning what you're doing is to me
it,
is the difference.
it's noticeable too. So Jamokin has been coaching myself. So since the end of season 34, actually a day after, I was like, you know what, I'm taking a break. I am not going to play in league. I need something to kind of change my mentality of the game because I felt stale. I felt burnt out. And I wanted to start learning position one, as what she was saying earlier when we started playing together. I kind of played everything except for mid. And I played a little bit of mid, but really not that much. But I used to be, I what 2, 3, 4 years ago when I first started playing, I was a position one player. Um, and I wanted to kind of go back to that. And with Jamokin coaching me, the things that he's talking about, like that min max, like tread switching, the spot in the lanes in our coaching session yesterday. You're talking to me about, well, if I have the lane or the creeps coming in with no other creeps coming because my five's pulling, I'm pulling those creeps away from the five so that I get the XP. That's stuff that you don't think about in your games. But myself learning a new role, new position, even a new lane, it's things that all my focus right now is on those little bitty things. And that's the difference is your focus is that's second nature to you. And then Welshy, I mean, you're up there too. Like that's second nature to you as an offlaner. But to me, my focus is there where you guys get to focus on all the other things. So you can noticeably see that, especially learning new roles.
I
But
think focus. I think focus is a really unique thing that a lot of people don't seem to understand Dota. It's actually the reason why I don't party queue anymore is because finding other players that'll be as focused on you and are only strictly there to win is like really important. And it's hard to only party queue because your friends will want to play with you, and you just have to be like, no, like you're just simply not focused enough. And like I'm just here to like strictly win, you know? And so in my ranked games, it's like hyper focus the whole game. And maybe I can only do like 2 or 3 of those in a day. Like when you're starting out, like after 1 or 2 games, you're gonna be like, that's it for me. Like I can't actually focus anymore. And that's fine, right? It
I,
takes a while to start building up and like being able to be focused continually for a long time.
I've been on the receiving end of this. Like I like one of my favorite quotes of Jamokin is "Guys, stop having fun." And you're not saying that to be funny. You're saying that, and you're not saying that to be an asshole. You're saying that in the way of like, guys, we're not here to have fun. This is ranked. We are here literally to win. Stop
But
talking
like
about random stuff and focus on the game.
here it
yeah, and like
comes.
for me, that's part of the thing that's like fun is like everybody's super focused, trying really hard. Like that's something I really enjoy. And so like when I say stop having fun, I mean like stop trying to make other shit fun and just have fun like playing the best Dota you can play. Don't be telling jokes. I don't care what you had for dinner. Like let's just super focused and play Dota.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of brings up a point. Like I've preached this to Pot of Greed, and Welshy can attest to this too, because especially when we're drafting, I'm like, hey guys, focus up. Like say productive things. And the way that I feel is when you talk about successful people in sports and esports and maybe life too, who knows. But I believe there's really two kinds of successful people in whatever they're doing. There's people who love winning so much that they'll do whatever the hell they can to win. And then there's people who hate losing so much that they'll do whatever they can to not lose. Personally, I can't stand to lose. I hate losing with an absolute passion. And winning's fun. Like I don't know many people who can legitimately say, I don't have fun winning. That's why you play. If you're not going in and you're not trying to win, then what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? Like you
Mm-hmm.
want to have fun, win the game.
Yeah, like there's 80 members that like definitely feel like that, and it's just not me. Like I just I can't grasp that, you know? Like I guess if that works for you, cool. But like I never want to hear people that are just like, "Oh, I'm just here to have fun," ever bitch, you know? Like if you're not
Uh,
willing to put in a ton of effort, like shut the fuck up and sit on the sideline.
It's
right. And I
almost
think
like, yeah, dude, this makes me just think of a certain player that me and Greco, who, well, you know him too, Jamokin, who will say, I don't care, I'm here to have fun. Will random the hero and then be miserable for the next 45 minutes of the game talking about how their hero is dog. And I'm like, what did you expect? You random thought you were going to have fun and now you're losing. What is the
right,
shocker there?
exactly. And me, especially like when we're in season, I when I look at pubs, and this is another thing, like why you're like, hey, I'm not playing in league this year. I'm going to focus, or the season, I'm going to focus on myself. Is every single game that you are in, whether it's a pub, whether it's like unranked, whether it's ranked, there's a reason behind the things that you're playing. You're experimenting for the league. You're trying to get better at a specific hero for the league. Something that you think that you can exploit or something that you need to see if you can flex is for the league.
Mm-hmm.
But when you want to focus on your own MMR and you want to focus on getting better and climbing and getting to those points like Jamokin saying he wants to reach, that's not like that's a really rocky road that it's going to be so slow in the climb, if there even is a climb. Um, when we were, I believe, Divine League the first time we were there, I was Ancient 4 a game off of Ancient 5. And this is just grinding and grinding and grinding. And with our roster for the next season, I needed to switch to position 5. And once I started doing that and playing 5, even though I know I don't win MMR playing position 5, I dropped almost to Archon over a very, very, very quick period. And it almost looks like, oh, you're sandbagging. It's not sandbagging. It's trying to play for the league, play for my team, and make sure that I can get to the point that I was in position 4 at position 5. So I suffer. And you get in these games and you're losing constantly, but you're trying to get like the most that you can out of it.
Yeah,
And if you're trying to climb, it's just not going to happen if you're focused on the league at the same time.
it's also a thing that with you, especially that, if you're trying to climb, talking about that and going back to what we said about, if you're trying to climb at the same time, it's also about, hey, play the meta and play like 3 or 4 heroes that are in the meta in one position. Like, I'll tell you right now, I am a very respectable offlaner for my rank. I think that I am, honestly. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I think that I think that I'm respectable. I think that I'm I can go higher. I think that I'm good at my position. If you take me out of that position, you put me in 4, I'm maybe somewhere in Ancient. You put me at 2, I'm guaranteeing I'm Crusader. You put me at like 5, I'm probably like Legend, and you put me at 1, I'm dog shit. I can't farm as a 1. I just can't, because I don't know anything about farming patterns or anything. Like, it's really hard to know every position. You know what I mean? As well as you can 1.
That eventually becomes a bridge you have to cross. But again, we're talking about when you don't have ranked role anymore and you have to like rank just normal ranked.
Even then,
And
like,
everybody fights for positions.
yeah, but even then, like, there are, I'm not going to say gimme heroes, but I mean, what does every person play when they do their role queue games when they're doing games to get role queue matches and they are stuck in 4 or 5? They're picking Ogre or they're picking, what's the other one? Jakiro.
Magi,
Picking
Undying,
Bristleback
right.
off lane. Bristleback off lane. The
No,
hero
absolutely.
I
Like,
don't play off lane, and I just got this because I'm farming role queue hero, is fucking Bristleback every time.
Or Brewmaster. He's easy.
Brewmaster's the easiest hero in Dota, dude.
Shut the fuck
I'm
up.
convinced. It was my second Brewmaster game ever, and the first time I played it was in an ability draft. And I go like 17-2, and I'm like, no wonder Welshy's divine. This hero's easy as shit.
Then why don't you play him?
I'm a position 1 now.
Like,
But no,
right.
I mean,
just quickly, what do you think the easiest rank to hit Immortal on is? Or easiest role, sorry, position.
The easiest position to hit Immortal on? Now, let me ask you this: like, under what premise? Like that you are literally at Immortal level skill and you are grinding up the rank, or in like the position where you'll get carried.
Somebody brand new to Dota came to you and they're like, "Hey, I want to hit Immortal as fast as possible. What position should I play?"
I've got 2 answers for that.
Offlane,
mid and offlane.
Yep, offlane or mid.
It's the highest impact roles, in my opinion, where you have, like, I feel like, especially in this meta, it's so fast, and it feels like since that maybe it's TI6, I think it was the Wings Gaming winning one, where it was that god awful Naga Siren and Alchemist patch.
Oh, jeez.
Where the games were so long. And since that, it feels like every patch is getting faster and faster and faster and faster. So to me, the positions that are going to win MMR quickly and the ones that are going to have the highest impact consistently through the game are mid-game heavy roles, such as 3 and 4 or 2 and 3.
Yeah, let me say really quickly that, and we can branch this topic later, because I think this is a major topic to talk about. But I do honestly believe that that's intentional. It's not just that they're seeming faster. I think Valve is honestly trying to make games faster. I can specifically remember, and now mind you, I was literally like 2K MMR when this was happening, but I remember way back when I first started playing Dota, and I want to say like 2015. I want to say
your golden years.
Yeah, right. Every single match was 50 minutes. Like almost every game went to 50 minutes. Now, again, 2K MMR, but it felt that way. Now I feel like the average game time is somewhere between like 30 and 35 minutes on average.
It feels that way. It feels like it's either like a 30, like you said, 35
like 25 minutes, like a team's breaking high ground.
Yeah. Again, we can
talk about, or it's going an hour.
Yeah. Again, we can talk about this like later. I think this is a major topic, and I think we have other things that we kind of
Yeah.
want to talk
Well,
about
yeah.
tonight.
Speaking of, let's kind of get back to it. We kind of talked about the goals for Jamokin, and briefly about myself, which right now I'm kind of, I don't know, detoxing, I guess is the best way to describe it. Um, I'm just trying to get something fresh and new and start enjoying the game better. Um, and most of my focus currently is on pot of sense and where can I take this and how much can I do for the people within pot of sense, help them improve, and how much how much of an experience can I give them. Um, but I want to know, Welshy, what is your goals currently in Dota? Where do you want to end up? Are you at a point where you want to climb the ranks and eventually play on those higher tier teams? Like, what are you doing personally in order to get there? Are you mainly focused on 82L? Like, what's your kind of story with that?
Higher MMR, I don't. I will get to a higher MMR. There's no question in my mind that at some point in my lifetime I'm going to be immortal. I want my number. I want my number, and I'm at the point where, in full honesty, when I get my number, I will get it. Like I'll just pick a day where I'm like, nope, this is the highest I'm getting, and I'm gonna get that number tattooed on my fucking arm, and that's gonna be it for me. Not with Dota perfect like at all, but I'm gonna say I did it. I am not the kind of person who's going to play 8 hours a day. I'm not the kind of person who's going to play 12 hours a day. I'm not going to do boot camps. I'm not going to do the model. And again, bigger topic, but I'll say this: I can't stand the current model of Dota as far as pros go. I can't stand the feast or famine mentality. I'll find the statistics.
We will get to that.
Yeah,
Will get to that.
I'll find the statistics somewhere, but just to touch on it quickly, it's basically you get the TI or you starve. Like that's the big model, at least from what I've seen. Like you get invited to majors, you get invited to TI, or you starve to death because your team doesn't make any money. So to me, like that mentality, I just can't handle because that puts you in a point where if you want to go honestly pro and make a good living off of it, you need to be the kind of person who is honestly playing scrims every day, who is doing exactly what Jamokin is talking about, which is playing every day. And at some point, when you get high enough and you qualify for one of these teams, you are playing that it's your day job. You are playing Dota for 8, 9, 12 hours a day. And it's wake up, Dota, go to sleep, at least for part of the year. To some people, that's ideal. To me, I lived that for a little bit. Like there was times in my life where I did just wake up and play Dota and try to get better. And it messes with your head. Like I don't want to go there. What I want to do, enough about what I don't want to do. What I want to do is get my number, get to Immortal, which I know I will. And then I want to get involved I want to get involved in the Dota scene, but not on the pro level. I would kill to make content and to be involved in Dota in other forms. Surprisingly enough, I love making graphics. I love making videos. I love making content for Dota. Just generally, like I love talking about Dota. I love discussing Dota and the meta and things. My ideal role would be my ideal dream / goal would be to eventually become associated somehow with a pro team and do something for them.
You want the Sir Action Slacks experience.
I mean, I'll be honest with you right now. I would steal Slacks' identity. But in reality, like the ultimate goal, if I'm honest with you, would be to somehow generate a lot of cash flow and start a real pro team and own it.
Yeah, 100%. I just when you say about the content and stuff, like you would love to do that on the pro level. The first one that comes to my mind is Sir Action Slacks, where he's doing massive amounts of content for each individual like major and previously minors and all that stuff, and then TI, and it's just content after content after content after content. And honestly, like I think it's reachable. Like it's hard, like to get an in because, as you know, real world is not about what you know; it's about who you know and things like that. And we're starting to know more people and things along those lines. But it is definitely reachable. Um, so I want to let's kind of move on because we've kind of been on this topic for a bit. We're a little bit on the DPC system, and you don't like how the medals are, or rather the, what's the best way to say this? The format of the league, and how you feel like it's TI or starve kind of thing. But let's kind of get into what we know in 82L. Talk about medals, the caps, the league format. Um, what do you think they're doing right? What do you think they're doing wrong? Jamokin has come in and talked about the 8-man, like 8 week groups, and how he thinks that that would be a really, really great place to start. You want to elaborate on that?
So one of the biggest changes, and we've talked about this a lot actually, was making playoffs 8 teams. Like shorten the playoff format, because I've always been a bigger fan of um making like the first few weeks the qualifier, and then so like that could even like that can be long because like more teams get to play. It's whatever. So like I'm more of like a fan of like an 8 week qualifier into like an 8 team tournament. And the opening is just the seeding. The qualifiers will just be like the seeding for how the tournament will go, and that's how I've always viewed it really nicely. Um, and
Yeah,
so I'd like to see the regular season like just 2 weeks longer. Run uh, the tournament to make it single limb, double limb. I don't really care how that looks, but I think that would be like the next biggest step I'd want to see.
yeah. See, to me, it feels like a league, and it is 82L Amateur Dota 2 League. But to me, it should be like a tournament. Like there's too many ties, and maybe like the new league added and separating teams and all that stuff will cut out some of that. But there's too many ties. Like I would almost rather see like going to a true Swiss format and going best of threes. I know it can make for some really late night, but that eliminates some of that. I do agree with the 18 or the 8 week long group stage where you're actually getting like the full like idea and the full picture, and then going into a shorter playoff, because I've always been very keen on the fact that, look, this is not a league. It's not everybody makes it. It's if you don't deserve it, you don't get to playoffs. You look at any other sport, even hockey, with as many teams as they put into playoffs, and even baseball and stuff like that, only a select group make it into playoffs. And it baffles me that the format that we have right now is catering to, oh, well, I'm going to put like every single team in here, and then we're going to waste an entire week on games that we know are not going to be good games. The previous format were a single elim, and we have your 16 ranked team playing against your 1 ranked team. It's just never going to happen. They're not going to beat them. And it feels like a waste of a week where the only thing that you're going to get out of it is your 8 and 9, maybe. And even then, is that the game that you want to see? Do you want to see the 8 versus 9 game? I think personally, going into the 18 that they're moving in this season is really great because I want to see the 4 versus 5 game. I don't want to see the 8 versus 9.
I agree
Welshy,
with
what are your
that.
thoughts on this?
I agree with that, honestly. I mean, the only thing that I would offer in a somewhat defense of it is I would ask what happened with Lust this season. No, never mind. They started in upper bracket, so they would have been in this competition. And I mean, I have to agree, right? Like nobody watches the first couple of weeks of games, especially for the top and for the upper teams, because they're fighting the lower brackets, like or some other system would like. Like it's not a big deal because the games are not going to. No bottom tier team is going to beat the upper tier team. I mean, not in 3 games, right? There's
Right.
almost no reason to watch them because like why am I going to watch a game that I literally already know the result of? Like I don't have a huge interest in watching Michael Jordan play against some random high schooler. And that's kind of how I view that. It's like we know what's going to happen. Let's just cut the chase and get the grand finals. It's
Yeah,
almost, I mean, I also just want to ask, like, well, how do you think it feels for like those teams that are in the lower side? It's like, well, we know we're not good. Well, maybe they don't know, and everyone wants to keep their spirits up. But it's like, well, we're probably not going to win, but maybe we can pull out one or two. You know?
I mean, we've been there. Like, we know. Like, you're a very, very low ranked team, like, and you're playing against one of the better teams. You want your season to be done.
Yep.
Like, you just went out. Like, it doesn't feel good. And
you don't want to
like,
just like surrender, right? Sorry.
Yeah. You know, like, you're probably like, not all teams are going to have this, but you're probably going to have some internal stuff going on. There's going to be a lot of frustration. It's going to be a lot of like bashing your head into the wall, trying to think of why the heck is this team that I put together that should be competing not. And then I got to go into face a team that's got it together. They know they've been winning all season, and like we haven't. And now we got to play them. I think it was the Divine League that when we were in, where because of a bye and because of a forfeit, we got into the upper bracket and then had to face the upper team. And I think we only won legitimately 3 games that season.
Yep.
And it felt terrible. You're like, let's just get this over with. Let's just lose our game and then maybe win a lower bracket one. It just doesn't feel great. But I do really enjoy and like the way that Intermediate League was set up this season, where the top 4 teams are in the upper bracket and the bottom 4 teams were in the lowers. One team got eliminated because we only had 9 teams. But you had the 2 versus 3 and the 1 versus the 4. And then the 4 beat the 1 and then the 3 beat the 2. That's exciting. Like, that's what I want to see.
And that's where that's going to happen, right?
Yeah, that's where it's going to happen. When you have those, if you run double elimination, you only have 4 in the upper, like the uppers. Like, that's exciting to me. Not the, like, the 8s versus the 1s and the things along those lines. Like, that's not fun. But when you have the 1 versus the 4, like, anybody can win those games.
Yep.
And we even saw Lost Jin lost to 1C 5C, Lost Jin, then turned around and lost the next week to Phoenix Pals. Like, these are great teams. Like, Lost Jin was legit. Like, they were so good. And I think it shocked everyone that wasn't in those games that they were eliminated. Like, the fashion that they did, because they were so dominant.
I mean, it also, I mean, personally, I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like brackets, like, obviously I'm trying to win brackets, right? Sorry, win groups. But at the same time, though, groups are basically just scrims, right? They don't, in reality, matter that much. At least didn't in previous seasons.
In the
right?
current system, yes.
In the current system now.
Made it? Yeah, they didn't matter.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I mean, in full honesty, I was like, why do we care about winning these? Like, if anything, like, we'll get put in a different place in the bracket, but it doesn't really matter that much. Like, we can try stuff here and just kind of mess around. As far as I'm concerned, we can think of these as practice games.
You only cared about making upper bracket. That was it.
Yeah. And if you've made upper bracket, who cares?
You didn't care after that,
Pot of Wrath is like the textbook example of this.
Yeah.
And back in season 28 and 29, especially 29, like, teams know they're good. They know that they're better. But when you got like teams running Pudge, like season 29, you have like offlane Pudges and 5 Pudges running around on Kobolds and 3 Treant Protectors. And like, these aren't legitimate games. Like, they don't care. And Wrath does that like here and there as well, I think, until they realize, oh shit, we can't actually do that all season. They're like, the games mean nothing. It's just, hey, let's go have fun until it actually matters. And then let's try to win.
And some people may like that, but I mean, I have to agree. Like, let's make every game count. Like, if we're gonna put the effort into getting together at 9:00 on a Thursday, like, let's make it so where I can and should care about this game, not just think, oh well, we lose, we win. Literally, it has no major effect on our ability to play in the bracket.
Right.
Like, I agree with that statement. I'm like, look, let's make this actually matter somehow and make people care about their bracket games. Make them best of 3s, and then just this way, like, look, top 8 get in. That way the brackets isn't just long, drawn-out thing. And people who are having a bad season, like I said, I'm having a bad season. Let's just, like, I want to be done. Like, what's up?
Let's reset.
Yeah, I'm like, let's reset next season, guys. Like, look, we're not winning this one. We all know it. Let's just bounce to the next season, and we'll get our shit together then. Like,
Right.
I'd rather just call this season and let's go work on us. Like, let's not.
So
Yeah.
this is a format though that has kind of been molded even since season 29, which was 28 rather, which was what, 7 seasons ago, 6 seasons ago. Um, there's been a lot of change, and it's molding, and I think it's molding in a positive way. Um, and God bless these admins. In all honesty, as much as like I love to get into a ticket and bash the absolute crap out of them, because I'm a firm believer like rules need to be followed, and why have them if you don't follow them? Jamokin, I'm sure we know is a big rule booker himself. Um, but God bless them this season. Like holy shit! Like how much they've had to deal with, like how many shitty situations. And I'm not going to get into it because I'm not somebody who wants to just relight the fire. We've had content being made from Fiery Man and Rhino and everyone else about all the drama going on. I'm not looking to start or reset that fire, but there's been so many shitty situations this season, like between the 1C, 5C removal, like right before the grand finals, the recent Caillou removal. I think that's how you say his name, right before the grand finals. Um, like, how do you guys, like, if you're, let's put ourselves in kind of their shoes right now. Like, do you think that they're making the right decisions here? Do you think they're handling them the correct way? Because I think we can kind of sympathize in what, like, it is very very difficult spot to be in, and no matter what their decision, people are going to be upset.
I mean, they're always going to be facing heavy criticism, right? No matter what they do. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you're an admin, that's always been my opinion with them. Like, I don't envy them having to tell teams and deal with situations like that. My opinion is that I just want to repeat again what you said. You know, there were some really hairy situations that have come up this season that they've had to deal with. That I think the biggest thing that I would criticize is the fact that they've in the biggest situations that have come up, they've kind of gone back and forth on decisions. That's like the biggest problem. They've realized that they made the wrong decision early, or they've made quick decisions on things, and then it's come back to bite them because a lot of people then go, "Hold up, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you doing that?" And then they're like, I don't mean to sound rude, but it's like, you know, they suddenly go, "Well, yeah, why are we doing that?"
Yeah, I think that's where most people have the biggest issues. I think it's where I have the biggest issues is you make a ruling and then you go back on it. And it's not that I necessarily think the rulings are wrong. I think they eventually, in my opinion, now how much that matters, you guys decide. But they eventually get to the right decision. But leading up to it, it's like they make the wrong one because they're rushing. And it's not always time sensitive. But if you make a decision, you stick with it. Right or wrong, you stick with it. The thing that kind of blew me away the most was the vote over the Caillou situation. I don't know the full story of why they did the vote, like what happened with the vote, like why they would think that's an idea. In my opinion, it opens the door for like more votes to come out. Like, why would people like if somebody doesn't like a decision, say, "Oh, put it for an 80-12 vote." You open that door, and to me, you show weakness in that of saying, "Okay, now our admins are not capable of making their own rulings. Now they need to lean on the whole 80-12 community." Is
Yeah,
that fair to
I
say?
got a strong opinion of that, and I like, well, more so just like a kind of thought on that. And I want to say this, and I do want Jamokin to give his opinions on this stuff because he has a lot of thoughts about admins. But my interpretation is full on that I first off with the Kai situation is that this was a person who basically went, it was in Archon League, signed up at Archon League, got coaching while in Archon League, and then basically went from an Archon player to is now at Ancient 5 scraping Divine. So you're talking like,
Which is legit. Like, we know that happens.
You got,
like,
you got there legit, but at what point are you out? Have you now, you're out of your weight class, right?
I
But the
mean,
thing, sticking specifically to the voting thing, is that this got opened up to voting by DOPS. Like DOPS put out a poll essentially. Now, this is what I have a problem with: is that they did not, the admins, and by that, and I'm just going to say this because DOPS is the one who posted it, and I don't know if this was a group decision or DOPS's, posted it just blunt question, like, everybody at Dota, what do you think of the decision? Should it stand, should it not? Thumbs up yes, thumbs down no. Like, didn't give any context. Is this a poll? Is this a vote? Like, oh, is 82L now a Congress? Or are you just polling to see if everybody is, if the majority is upset with the decision?
or are you
Now,
making a point?
yeah, or are you making a point? Like,
It
you have to
it
specify why you ask this, otherwise people are going to speculate. Like we are right now, and I full on agree. First interpretation, I thought we were voting.
I think that's what everyone thought. And the question that I have is, if the majority voted against what the admins ruled, and I don't think that's the case the last time I looked. But if the majority vote against what the admins ruled, does it actually get overturned, or do they turn around and say, "Well, tough shit, we already ruled this"? And to me, that's a bad. And it's not something you want. I think best case scenario is what happened was the majority of the league agreed with the decision. It was close. Like I think
Oh, I
only
mean,
like
what's the vote right now?
um
92 to 70
yeah, so
in favor.
22 votes in 160 62 votes. Like that's not a lot. Like a lot of a difference. Like it's pretty split half and half. But like I said, like I think they're blessed that the votes are in their favor because what if it didn't?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely. Like, it's definitely been a hell of a season for the admins, but like this vote thing was, in my opinion, the worst thing you ever could have done. Like, leagues, tournaments, sports, they're not democracies. You
no.
know, there's people like in the NFL, they don't vote on whether to give this player a fine for doing XYZ. The league decides what happens, and the team pays the consequence. The player pays the consequence, right?
All right.
Like, I can't think of any sport where it's a
Community
democracy.
vote.
Like, they're just not, you know. And I think that the only voting that should go on is the admin's decisions and whoever's in their, you know, whoever else they like consult or whatever the hell it's called that we know they have.
Like a
Yeah,
council.
yeah, whoever their counselors or whatever, and that should
Council
be it. Like,
board.
if
Yeah.
it's a big decision and removing a player or a team, they are the biggest decisions they'll make next to banning teams outright and players.
Right.
Like, those should just be voted upon.
And the other thing too is they're not time sensitive. Like those decisions are rarely time sensitive. So you have the ability to go back and you have the ability to talk. And I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. Those are the only people that need to be involved in actual decisions. Like you can plead your case and talk to the admins. Like I think that's good. And because you sometimes bring up points that they don't recognize or realize and things like that. Because they're human beings. Like they don't know everything that's going on, the whole story. They have to be told, and everything they're getting is secondhand. But you bring that information back to your quote unquote council, and then you make the decisions. You don't bring it to the league. Like you don't let, like you said, a democracy occur. Like this shit needs to be dealt with in house. Whatever the hell they say, right or wrong, that's the ruling, and it can't
Yeah,
be
you
changed.
can't go back.
It shows weakness.
And I hate to say it,
Absolutely,
I mean, it's
because
just, get sorry.
then people will just riot, you know? Like, if you riot and it works, what are people going to do? They're just going to riot every time they don't like something.
Oh, they're just cry because you've now taught them that that works.
Yeah, you
Now,
you have to
but there's also
no.
a balance in that, right? Like they are human, and it's not like they're, they're not. There's not a council of 20 people. They're gonna make wrong decisions sometimes. Someone's gonna make a slip up or miss something that they didn't see, and or new evidence is
That's
gonna
why
be
decisions don't
presented.
have to be rushed, though.
Yeah,
Like, if you don't rush the decision, everybody hears all the information. And unless something like groundbreaking comes to light later, like
I
someone finds a video recording, someone was recording something on Twitch, like, unless you just have like concrete evidence that strongly suggests otherwise, like, there's no reason to go back. Even if it's slightly wrong, you kind of just write it out.
Yeah, but when it's really wrong, I think it's beneficial to have admins and have a team that is willing to say, you know what, we see what you're saying, and we realize that we have made a mistake with this. We're going to take a second look. And I think that there's some humility in that is very important. That, we have to remember this is AD2L, Amateur Dota 2 League, and comparing it to the NFL is fair, but at the same time, like, they're doing the best they can. They make some fuck ups, but they're willing to admit and fix them rather than just try to keep being called the badmans, I guess, who never listen to the community. I mean,
But going back on something is the exception. It shouldn't be the rule. Like we shouldn't normalize going back on decisions.
that's fair. I
Right?
agree with
'Cause
you
then
in
we have
that.
to question who are making these decisions in the first place.
I agree with you on that. If every decision is overturned, like, and because it's called out by the community for being a bad decision, that is not a model to follow. It should, exactly like you said, it should be the exception, not the norm. I completely agree with that.
So
One thing
there was an. Go ahead.
Go
Go ahead.
Oh, I should say, like, one other thing I wanted to touch on is, like, when it comes to actually removing players and the impact that has on the team. Like, when you have a player removed from your team, it cripples your team, and, like, we're talking, like, right before the finals. They
Mhm.
had, like, 3 days to figure it out. And so
There's
one thing I'd like to see the league do is, um, like, Thursday midnight, you inform the captain that that player won't be allowed to play at next week's game, and so they have 1 week to find a replacement. And if they make the decision after, well, tough shit, the guy gets to play, because captains and teams should be allowed ample time to find players, because these aren't decisions that need to be rushed, and a call should be made at least a week in advance on whether or not this guy gets to play. Obviously, there's situations where, like, somebody might do something wrong, but when I think it comes to, like, the ranking up situation, definitely a week in advance.
you have an idea that this is happening, and you have an
Yeah, for
idea that
sure.
this is the ruling that you're going to be making. And like,
I think
I couldn't agree, because when you're replacing somebody like that, you're replacing a permanent roster like thing. You have to try different people out. You have to see what's going to fit best for your team moving forward. It's not a stand-in. That's completely different. A
And
stand-in
it's your
is, oh
best
shit,
player.
yeah.
You may have started building drafts around this player because they are dominant in that league.
I feel
Like,
that it's about the what is it? The punishment needs to fit the crime. So in the specific case of what was his name? Caillou.
I
Caillou
think
really
so.
didn't. Caillou didn't do anything wrong necessarily, right? He got
Well,
coaching. Let's
well,
let's leave that
I'll
up to
listen. I'll
debate.
listen. I'll listen to your point.
We'll leave that up to debate. Caillou, like, he got coaching and got better, and honestly got too high for the league. Now that is, to me, he didn't do anything morally wrong, right? Like, he stopped
Sure, I can get behind
caring.
that.
He stopped caring about his rank in reference to where he was playing, and that upset some people, which is why, like, to me, he got booted, because he broke the rank cap, like, hard broke it, right? You're talking about a divine player in an Archon league. Like, it's hard to swallow
shout
that.
out. That's impressive.
It is,
That
right?
is
Like, that
impressive.
man skyrocketed. Like, shout out to him. He's a great player, and he clearly shows dedication for doing that. But that being said, like, obviously there's something wrong with a divine player in an Archon league. Like, it's obviously gonna piss some people off, and understandably so. But he
Yeah,
didn't
I
do
don't think
anything
anyone.
morally wrong, right? In that case,
Right.
I feel like it should be a thing of like, hey man, you flew past the rank cap. Like, we're sorry, we can't let you play. We're gonna make accommodations so you guys can find a replacement, but you have to understand, we can't have a final where we have a ancient five slash maybe at finals divine player playing against a bunch of archons, because it just looks terrible, and it's not what this league is about. Like,
Yeah,
we will give you
we're
time to find a
losing pairs of
replacement.
people.
Yeah, we'll give you time to find a replacement. He can be up to this point. Like, it doesn't have to be his rank at the start of the season. It has to be, like, in this area, and you can find them. Now, if you
I can get behind that. I can
yeah.
get behind that.
Now, if you
But
are
like,
yeah, sorry.
there's clearly he did something wrong in the fact of breaking the league rules.
Yeah.
And I don't know the full situation. I'm not going to pretend like I do. Typically, what I would say, that's on the captain. Like, assuming that happened because the captain didn't say anything and they didn't fully understand the rules or read the rules, which I know happens constantly, where captains don't understand the rules, and we'll kind of touch on that and like the stress or like how liable captains really should be in this league later on. But like he did, like they technically did do wrong, which I believe was the reason why the decision's made. But you're right. Like it's not. He didn't morally do something terrible. Like he just got fucking really good at Dota. Like that's what happened. And like you're saying, like, kudos to him. Like that's unbelievable. Like, and it's all legit. I mean, I think by now we've all seen the Dota buff and kind of looked at it, and we know, I mean, what the effects of coaching does to an MMR if you take it seriously. And I've watched the dude play. Like I've sat there and like I'm friends with him. I've sat there and watch him play a Death Prophet game. And he's playing against like other high ancients, low divines, and he's balling out. Like he didn't do anything morally wrong other than get really good at Dota.
Yeah.
But like you said too, it's the integrity of the league. It's not what 82L is about. So yeah, I think they made the right decision. But I wanted to kind of move this along a little bit. Kind of the last bit on this topic here. What do you guys think about admins commenting like after their decisions in the general chats and things like that? Is it bad? Is it good? Like them exposing tickets.
That's such
I'm
an.
I
Get sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Welshy. No, go ahead, buddy. It's all you.
I've been talking a ton. Go ahead.
I was just say, I'm not a fan of tickets being leaked in 95% of situations because the only people who should be concerned with it and whose fucking business it is are the people in the ticket. Like, if you're not in the ticket, really, it's none of your fucking business. Um, except for situations where like you truly believe the admins clearly got something wrong and they like refuse to listen to you at all. In that situations, I'm like okay with tickets being leaked, but I don't think admins should be commenting on um about their decisions, and like especially controversial decisions where the pot's already popping off and they just jump in and throw more fucking fuel into the fire.
Dude, Greco can tell you the pot's always popping off for the admins.
Ooh,
Man's got 3 open tickets at any given time.
Yeah, it's funny. I just told them, hey, delete all the tickets so I can get 3 or 4 more set up before the season starts. I'm already at 2 5 days later.
All right. I'm of the opinion that I agree with you for the most part. I would say, like, I'm not going to go to 99%. I'm going to say that, like, mostly the tickets should stay between who it matters to. That posting these mega long posts, these twit longs of like just back and forth with the admins, don't usually lead anywhere. The one occasion where I think that it does mean something is when someone who is involved in that ticket starts spreading false information. When they start saying that either the admin said something that they didn't say or that something happened that never happened, and they're saying that, the admins ignored this, the admins did this, the admin said that, and it never happened. There's a situation that occurred where somebody was misquoting and misrepresenting a lot of what was said to the admins and the reasons that they were getting punished. And I think that it's very important to put in context, like this person is playing a victim that they've been wronged in some way. And it's important to have the clarity of like, nope, you weren't punished for this. You were punished for all these things that we discussed here and you openly admitted to. Like, it's important to not just let somebody come in and just lie and basically talk trash about the admins and get everybody stirred up for no reason, because everybody for some reason trusts that everyone is being 100% honest with their side and isn't maybe embellishing to make themselves feel better or look better as a person.
I can get behind that to a sense. If they're spreading false information, like you said, I'm okay with one post. One post, let it be. Explain the situation, tell them why you did it, and then don't fucking talk about it. Do not have like a whole thread where you're commenting, arguing with people, trying to defend yourself. Like you already did. Like just in one post. If people don't agree with it, like that's tough. That goes back to like the whole you're showing weakness if you have to defend every single thing that you say or do. Like I fully believe that you have to have a strong standpoint if you're an admin. That if you make a ruling, like yeah, that's it. I'm not going back on it. Like, this is what we're doing. But when you're like continually like throwing more stuff, you're extending the shit. Like, drama dies down, and actually, like, if you pay attention, it dies down really quickly.
Yeah, it does. That's
And
very true.
and it's usually only 5 or 6 people, and I'm not going to list them off, but it's always the same people who are like taking the opposite side for the sake of keeping the shit going. And when you're an admin, you're continually doing this. You're like Jamokin said, you're throwing fuel on the fire constantly. And I think that's a bad look, personally. Like, let it die down. Like, not everyone's gonna agree. And if you pay attention to it, it's always 4, 5, 6 people that are the same people that are always stirring the pot.
Yeah, this isn't Smurfgate. It's not going to have lasting effects on the league, right? Like,
No.
people make decisions. Like the admins are going to make a decision. People are going to complain about it for like 2 weeks, make memes about it for like 3, and then it's just going to go away. And people are going to be like, "Hey, do you remember that happened?" No, I know. I'm being almost like ridiculous. Yeah. It's like people talk about it for a week, make memes about it for another week, and then it's gone. No one almost remembers it. You bring it up and you're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that happened." Dude, I can barely remember what happened in season 28.
Shit, I remember my power going out.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that's about the only thing I remember from season 28? Like, in full honesty, like, I don't remember any of the drama. I don't remember anything else. Like, dude, it goes way fast. Play one more season and then nobody cares.
Yeah, you just move on to the next week and then nobody cares.
Yeah,
like, people get their content out, like, feed off of that shit, and then it's done. Let it die down. Don't put fuel on the fire. Just let it die down.
Yeah, and the best way is just ignoring it.
Right.
Like, they eventually shut up.
Mm-hmm. But for sake of time, I mean, let's get past this. Like, let's move on to, I think, what everyone kind of has been wanting to know for all of eternity. And I'm going to ask this, and I'm really excited to hear the answer because currently, outside of Jamokin, I'm the only one that knows. And is that right?
Yeah, no, that is correct.
So Welshy does not know yet.
No.
And he's been making like logos and stuff like that for you guys and just has no clue, and it's so juicy. So please tell us, what exactly does PSGS stand for? Tell us the story.
All right. So the original meaning for PSGS is...
And we're out of time, and we'll see you guys
motherfucker. You motherfucker.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I've had theories about this. I've had theories about this for years.
Well, let's think of this first. All right, before you tell them. Welshy, what do you think PSGS stands for?
First off, let me say that I am like Charlie from Always Sunny with the board with lines across it of string, like tying them together. I have been trying to figure this out for years. I am still settled to this day that if you like that Jamokin is a avid Tarkov player, and that all of the names of his teams, PSGS and BSGS being the only two he has, are calibers of bullets. And to this day, I think that's where he gets the names from. And I'm waiting to be proved wrong here.
Brother, if you don't slow down your speaking, you're gonna fucking pass out from not breathing. You are so passionate about this.
I have been dick teased this name forever. I want to know. The people want to know, Jamokin.
All right, let's hear it. Because I love it.
No.
Really? You're gonna do this to us?
Are you fucking serious?
No way. You don't get to know. What have you done for me? Who are you?
I've designed your logos.
I'll tell you after the podcast.
How dare you?
Man.
How dare you deprive the people of their knowledge?
Maybe on our 100th episode. You know, you know what? I'll promise you guys. 100th episode, PSGS revealed.
Anybody who's listening, just remember this is getting 100 episodes then. I refuse to otherwise. I refuse.
Well, you heard it. We're not going to go through with it. I was pretty excited. I thought that he was going to go ahead and share it. But we're going to go ahead and end it here. Thank everyone for any of you guys who watch this and take your time and listen to us just bullshit for the last hour and however many minutes. We're going to try to bring these things out every week and just kind of sit back and really just dive into different stories and different topics that we think you want to hear, things that we want to talk about. And if you don't want to hear them, too bad. We're still going to say them. But from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much for listening in, and we'll see you guys next week.